Well, actually, the defense right off the bat said it had planned for another witness to be here today, but couldn't make it, so it was Joyce Sturdivant herself who took the stand. It was a packed house tonight, 150 seats, and a curious voter in every single one of them, as the people of Waco tried to find out more about their candidates this year. They said there were 6 cemeteries alongside 35, like this one here in Troy, that they thought could pose a problem. Well, they said they designed the expansion to not bother any of them. The problem at Temple Garden of Memories is the graves were already on their property. This game went down to the wire. It was actually tied at 14 to the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. The guys here say today is the biggest day of the year for them. They're going to sell more than 200 pizzas, and of course the favorite topping, pepperoni. Homes weren't the only things lost in this fire. This family's house is still standing, but they lost thousands, with 5 cars totally destroyed. Now, with all that water we got, it did bring with it all the debris that collected during this drought. So you're going to have to watch out for sticks and logs when swimming and boating when it finally gets a little warmer and you get out here. On one side of Highway 95, people walked out after remembering the man who made the school day what it is. On the other side, the school that made the man.
Yeah, he's a bus driver. No, he's much more than that.
Everybody told stories that they remembered Mr. J.
Gave his life for those kids.
71-year-old James Johnson got critically injured driving the children he loved. After 2 weeks in a medically induced coma, he died 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoon. Almost a month ago to the day of the funeral, James and 40 kids were on the morning commute when disaster struck in the form of a Lowe's delivery truck. 29 kids and 3 adults went to the hospital, and now 1 death. It was a packed house for Johnson, an Army veteran. He spent the first half of his career in farming. Then people say he found his true calling. For more than 27 years, James Johnson did it all for Academy ISD. He drove buses, helped clean the cafeteria, and was just a good friend to students and coworkers.
He was my son's first driver, and he drove him all 12 years.
He outshowed the teachers on playing with the kids on the playground.
Yeah, I don't think he knew how many lives he touched.
Leading the funeral procession was the Academy ISD bus fleet. In front, the new bus to replace Mr. Johnson's. But there's nothing that can replace the driver. Joshua Skurnik, KCE and HD News.
Chick's fan.
Near the shores of Lake Whitney,
70 cents.
it's Mahjong Day. It's been this way for years.
Good point, Linda.
But today, if the ladies take a break, talk to Linda Matei, because she's got a story to tell.
No, you can't believe it. I mean, it's hard to believe. When I picked it up.
For 50 years, husband Rudy Matei has walked this beach. Lots of memories here, like the summer of 1966.
It gets about 6-7 feet deep there, and so that's where we swim.
Rudy and 3 of his buddies drove up to the Parents Lake House their senior year at Texas A&M. Everything was great until Bill Aiken dropped something.
All of a sudden he realized, hey, my ring is gone.
They looked, but
Finally just gave up and said there's no way to find it.
it was gone.
And just gave it up as lost.
Marriage, kids, and 46 years went by. Then the lake made a play of its own. Last month, Linda and 7-year-old grandson Kai were walking along the beach.
Kai looked down and he said, "Look what I found."
Linda knew it was an Aggie ring and brought it to Rudy.
Boy, memory just started coming back, you know.
The guys hadn't spoken in 40 years. To get a hold of Bill, Rudy had to go through old yearbooks, student databases, and internet searches. He finally did find him through Bill's company website, much to Bill's amazement.
What are the chances of finding the ring? And then what are the chances of the ring being found by the grandson of somebody with me? It's just phenomenal.
No one knows how or why it happened.
It's really good because they've reconnected with some of those guys.
I know it meant a lot to Rudy, so.
It's by the grace of God. It really is.
All we can say is, Lake Whitney sometimes works in mysterious ways. Joshua Skurnik, KCE and HD News. It would be hard to argue. Mary Garrett has not seen overwhelming tragedy. At age 48, she's already buried a son and daughter.
I jumped in to try to save them, but I couldn't save them.
Both drowned on the same day at Lake Belton in May of 1996.
When they found them, my 2 children were hugging each other, just floating apart.
These pictures, rescued when Mary's house burned down 3 years ago, show 10-year-old Michael and 7-year-old Constance. 15 years later, she wants people to remember them, especially now.
They want to, quote, dig my children up for 4 inches.
To move the graves 4 inches. Garrett remembers the day she got a letter from Temple Garden of Memories in the mail.
My knees kind of buckled. I got weak.
It said her children's graves were in the way of the latest expansion of I-35. With names in bold, the cemetery needed her permission to move them. She refused.
To break my peace, you know, I just think it's wrong.
TxDOT says it's not their fault. It says the cemetery misplaced the graves crossing TxDOT's property lines. Of all these graves near where the construction will be, TxDOT says only Garrett's need to be moved, even with a grave right next to it that seems to be the same distance away. Following our initial story last week, TxDOT now says it wants to present a different plan to the cemetery.
We chose to go another step above and beyond, you know, what had to be done.
As for a grieving mother,
I'm having nightmares. I'm having dreams. I see them drowning. This is just not right. They're opening up a can of wounds.
Joshua Skurnik, KCEN HD News.
To me, my whole career has been one big achievement.
There's nothing holding her back now.
I want to be Australia's first Indigenous supermodel. Past few days, I've been quite busy doing David Jones' spring-summer launch.
David Jones is Australia's leading fashion department store.
Hair and makeup at 5:30. About 3 or 4 rehearsals a day.
The models work extremely hard. They make it look so easy.
You're in there from morning till night, so you don't see the sunlight at all.
For these girls of the catwalk, it's everything you'd expect right before one of Australia's biggest fashion shows. Primping, preening, makeup, and model Samantha Harris handles it like a pro.
When I started modelling at the age of 13, I was still going to school, so I would fly down from the Gold Coast where I'm from.
When she first started, she was a little shy and less confident about her abilities.
When I was 13, I entered the Girlfriend competition, which is it's like a teen magazine. It was my mum's idea to go up there. She thought it would be fun, and I think she was hoping that something good was going to come out of it. I was lucky enough to be one of the finalists.
So we've really seen her grow from a model on the verge to now a model who's really hitting her stride and at the peak of her abilities.
If I thought back to when I was younger, I would have never thought that I'd be doing what I do now.
At 19, Samantha has taken the fashion scene by storm. Her beauty has graced the covers of magazines. She's a spokesman for a major department store. But what's maybe most impressive is the mold she's breaking in the sometimes cookie-cutter world of modeling.
I was on the cover of Vogue. I think that's quite a big achievement.
It hasn't been at all about her being an Indigenous model. It's about her being a great model and a great ambassador for our brand.
If you put in the hard yards and do the hard work, you can be anything that you want to be.
She seemed a natural choice for us.
I think it's really important to give back to, the Indigenous people of Australia, because they're very stereotyped. That would be the best word to use. They stereotype them as, not being well educated, not being the nicest of all people and not doing too much. I still think in some areas of Australia, not all, that Aboriginal people aren't treated as well as they could be. My mother's tribe is from Kempsey, which is in New South Wales. My mum had a really tough time growing up. She was taken away from her mum, her and her 2 sisters. She travelled around with her auntie, living off the land, and they were basically going where the work was going. I hate to think what she had to go through and how she grew up, but it makes me feel lucky. My heroes would have to be my mum.
Like most 19-year-old high-fashion models, a cell phone is Samantha's pre-show companion of choice, and the only currency she'll need at this salon is some good gossip to get through makeup.
That's got to get sorted.
But it's the Samantha off the runway her clients say is what makes her the superstar she is.
We're looking for more than just a model. She's very warm and engaging. She's very genuine. What you see is what you get.
I feel really proud that I'm on the runway and that, you know, everybody is looking at me and the garment that I'm wearing.
She's a role model for our younger customers. She's Samantha Harris supermodel, but to us she's Sammy J.
Just be yourself, be true to yourself, and, you know, you'll go a long way.
In the world of modeling,
the show will commence in 5 minutes.
Dreams can be made and broken.
2 minutes.
The competition always more fierce. But if you work hard enough with the talent you got,
Enjoy. Thank you.
dreams can happen no matter where you come from.
You're a good role model for the rest of the country, you know, the rest of the Indigenous community.
Just ask Samantha Harris.
I would love for other people and other Indigenous girls to be inspired by Sam and realise it's all there. You know, your difference is what's going to make you great.
If they're really passionate and really want to pursue modelling, go for it. It's such an amazing career and it can take you to many different places. Just go for it.